following this up with this. But I'm constantly being asked, Mark, why are you single? Besides your borderline personality disorder, alcoholism, and the fact that you can't read a hand clock, you're such a catch. Well, I really can't read a hand clock. Many of you may not know this, but I've had 4 of the most dysfunctional relationships a girl could ever ask for. My first boyfriend, Sebastian, and I were in a dynasty-style love triangle. He was Blake. I was obviously Crystal. Because I was a blonde and I really liked her shoulder pads. And my best friend, Alex, was Alexis, although Joan Collins, he was not. Anyway, for nearly I really can't read either. I'm like, anyway, for nearly... You all have scabies! Anyway, for nearly 2 years, this love triangle played out until I told Sebastian's parents he was gay in a Hail Mary last-ditch effort to get all of them out of my life. Clearly that worked because he's currently in the audience right now, 10 years later. Erica King herself could not have orchestrated a better revenge plot, but as I continued drinking and continued dating, my boyfriends got sketchier and sketchier and sketchier. Shortly after Sebastian and I broke up, I met Jeff, who seemed to be everything I wanted in a mate. However, he was hiding one big-ass motherfucking secret that involved law enforcement, illegal drugs, and a few other things. To read our next excerpt, I don't know how to say your last name either, but no, I'm going to try. He was on Broadway in Spelling Bee, on TV in 30 Rock, and he's about to be in the national tour of Shrek the Musical. Please welcome Todd Buonopane.
It's Buonopane, as if you were wanting a pane. Yes! All right. When I got to Jeff's apartment, it looked beautiful. There were candles lit and a fabulous-looking dinner had been made. I had just scored some weed, and in my usual fashion of keeping things classy, I asked Jeff if he wanted to smoke. Or smoke. No, thanks, I can't, he replied. Oh, no, anyone can, I'll show you how to, I said, as I began to roll a joint and begin a pantomime demonstration of how to smoke a J. No, Mark, I know how to smoke, I just can't. I have court-ordered drug tests once a week. Fucking Tom was right. I mean, normal people do not spend their Friday mornings peeing into a cup in front of an officer of the court. I was really beginning to get worried now. Care to elaborate? I asked as kindly as possible as I poured 2/3 of a bottle of red wine into a 7-Eleven big gulp cup. Well, I was going to tell you the second part of the story, he said. I knew there had to be more to Jeff's heroic adventures than he was letting on. Perhaps he accidentally set the fire, which would have been totally understandable. Or he was a pyromaniac, which was definitely not acceptable. I told you about the fire, he said, as if I had completely blocked out the previous night's conversation. I gave him the "yeah, dumbass, you did look," and he continued. Well, after the fire, my boyfriend and I moved downtown, but things had changed. Shortly after we moved, we ended up breaking up, and I was beginning to become afraid of sleeping at night because that's when the fire had started. Anyway, someone had told me if I took crystal meth, I could stay up all night and sleep some during the day. I really didn't like where this was going. I was all alone after my boyfriend left me, and I started doing crystal all the time. And then one night, a few months ago, I was on a date, and the police came into my apartment. They confiscated all my computers and drugs and had me arrested. I thought there had to be a huge part of the story missing. Were you selling drugs? I asked. No. Well, what the hell were you doing then? Why did the police take your computers? Well, apparently, I downloaded some child pornography while I was high on crystal. So I guess I wasn't taking this one home to meet my parents. Okay, I murmured as I sat there staring at his face, and all I saw was a huge red flag. Well, I didn't mean to, he said. Well, there's a huge difference between someone who is 10 and someone who is 20, so please explain to me how you didn't mean to. I was high. Now, if I had not used that excuse so many times in the past, it wouldn't have worked. And considering I still had half a glass of wine left and it would take me a good 10 minutes to get down the stairs of his apartment, I decided I would let him explain. Well, when I was high on crystal, I didn't know what I was doing half the time. I don't really like child pornography, but I just didn't know better. Don't really like? That's not really the excuse I was looking for. I chugged my glass, I had my glass of wine and left. "You're dating kitty porn!" Tom shouted the next day at lunch.